wonder what I do for this man every time he keep complaining. I try to reason, work it out every time, but it's still the same thing. I'm fed up what to do with him again. I'm taking control, this is what I have to say. Go down and do. Boy, you better get behind me and go, come on. Go down, yeah, go down, yeah, stick it and come back up. Boy, you better go down and do. Boy, you better get behind me and go, come on. Go down, yeah, go down, yeah, stick it and come back up. Yeah, stop it.
This program is brought to you by title sponsors Bermuda Healthcare Services and SCARS, saving children and revealing secrets. Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson one-on-one.
What's up, family? Trust as well. Special shout out to all the messages from people shout out to me. That's what we love about this piece. As you can hear, I'm getting a little stronger. By the time this piece goes on Monday night, I would have been approaching something like day 45, 46, or 47 of dealing with allergies every day. After a while, it just begins to be a little bit too much. In any case, I want to thank each and every one of you who have been tuning in. That last show was a rough topic. I want to let you know we'll be coming back with Scars live in the evening, whatever day we decide to do it. I'm calling on survivors to call in and reach out and share their pain, with a view to healing all the hurt people in Bermuda who have been hurting people. Having said that, tonight's show is with a longtime friend, former colleague, international qualified teacher, taught around the world, back in Bermuda for some very sad reasons. In any case, he reminds me of what Malcolm X has said, one of his famous quotes: education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those of us who prepare for it today. Now, when it comes to education, we've been talking and talking and talking. You're going to get some history tonight. You're going to get some real deal stuff. But what I want to say to you is we are now on minister number 31 or 32 or 33. I can't remember. It's a minister that says, under the system, which has always been rigged against my people, and they say my people, you know who I mean, to dumb you down and keep you on a level. You know what Bermudians don't understand? Unlike America, when we change administrations, like when the UBP went out, if they were in America, all that civil servant administration would have went with them. A big part of what's going on and continuously goes on in Bermuda is we don't accept real grassroots leadership. And what we're seeing playing out in the streets makes me wonder just how many of these boys, so-called gangbangers, actually got a GED. How many of them didn't even graduate? Who are they exactly? In any case, that's where we're going. We'll be back in just a minute.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. This program is brought to you by title sponsors Bermuda Healthcare Services and SCARS, saving children and revealing secrets.
For more than 30 years, Bermuda Healthcare Services and the Brown Darrell Clinic have provided state-of-the-art diagnostic choices to the people of Bermuda. We were the first facility outside the hospital to establish a full array of imaging services. Under the skillful supervision of Dr. Mahesh Reddy, we offer CAT scanning, ultrasound, echocardiography, X-ray, and MRI scanning. Our team of highly skilled technologists hold outstanding credentials, and our staff will ensure that your visit is comfortable and confidential. If you would like to experience our private care, feel free to let your doctor know. Our CT and MRI results are available from the Leahy Clinic in 24 hours or less. For more information, check our website at bhcs.bm or call us at 236-2810. Building trust, one patient at a time.
Just the other day, a lady called and said, sign me up for the training because it happened to me and I never told anyone, and I want to be able to help. And that little comments like that are huge. I was the voice behind the phone at SCARS, and she felt empowered to be able to say that. When I was in the store just yesterday, and I had my name tag on and SCARS, and this lady came up to me and she said, "You guys are doing an amazing job." And it's, you know, it's helped me. I was able to talk to my children, which I was embarrassed to talk to them. It's made me realize that it wasn't my fault what happened to me, you know, and it makes me proud. It's like, okay, I'm a part of that. That's a great thing.
Champion is where two great nations collide in the ring for all the glory. It's pound for pound Team Bermuda versus Team Jamaica. Bascom versus Hilton.
Oh! A big right by Kevin Hilton!
Saturday, May 28th at the Shed Dockyard. Dress to impress and be ready for the lights, cameras, and non-stop action. Lamb versus Lawrence.
That's too much firepower for him! Carefully jumping the rest of this time. The contest is a technical knockout!
Team Bermuda will face off against Team Jamaica's best of the best boxers and kickboxers. See you there. At the official after party featuring direct from Jamaica, it's Stone Love's 50th anniversary tour, alongside Bermuda's legendary OGS Genesis. Saturday, May 28th at the Shed Dockyard. Get your tickets today at ptix.bm. This is Epic Entertainment.
This program is brought to you in part by Project Action and Sensei Roots Phillips and Zenji-Ru Bermuda Karate Do, raising the level of discipline through martial arts for countless students in Bermuda and internationally over the years. Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson, one-on-one.
Several times, you may recall, since this latest Minister of Education has been Minister of Education, when you've had battles between BUT and the ministry, you would hear the minister say, well, I don't have purview, to be managing the ministry. Therein lies a big part of the problem. You will recall the Sage Commission report that came out several years ago that talked about the lack of accountability in the upper echelons of government. I'll say it again. When governments change, the administration remains the same. That's why you have permanent secretaries who tell you, oh, governments come and they go, but this is my office. You got a whole heap of people. I'm not going to pick on you Barclayites, right? Who know if you're not in the friends and family, you're not in some lodge, you're not in the inside crew, nothing moves. We have a permanent Secretary of Education who has cost this country millions in legal costs because of her overzealous administrative whatever. In the case of Dr. Freddie Evans, people like me, inquiring minds like me, want to know, why is that PS still in my wallet? Being led by a woman that I went to Paul's Nursery, private school, and work academy with. I stayed Cedar Hill, she stayed up the other hill. She's the only girl with two brothers who were roughnecks. So don't tell me you expect little boys to sit quiet like little girls. So, having said that, let me introduce you to my guest. First time I saw him in many years was after he had left Bermuda to teach internationally. Several places around the world. He even speak 2 languages now. I can't believe that, right? He's a longtime friend and colleague. I called Ian Rollins. I called Trevor Lindsay, a.k.a. Deja, to tell him I will be talking about them. I started in 1984. This person came in 1987. No, Ian came in 87. I don't know when you came. But it's only 3 guys I've ever worked with who consistently came up under my wing with a lot of nursing, who took me past Jesus on a regular basis. I only ever found out recently that you, like Ian, are dyslexic.
Yeah.
I just thought you were both retarded. Let me just say that, Rollins. I know your mama, Equilla, talk about your child. It's okay. But you and Trevor in particular, oh my God.
You had a lot of patience.
No, but see, that's never been my strong
But
suit.
we if you didn't, we planted the seed and you grew the true patience.
You know how many times I called your mama and said I was going to kill you?
We had some good times, and it was a good learning journey for me. You know what I mean? I wasn't trained as a broadcaster,
No.
but I was fortunate enough that Rick Richardson trusted in me. I was injured playing football for Bermuda's under 19s.
He was good like that.
That's the guy. I was injured. And they wanted to give me codeine. I had a back injury, and I couldn't because we was going to Trinidad to a tournament. So Rick just told me, sit out. I was watching, we was playing a practice game, and Rick had his VCR camera sitting there, so I picked it up and just was bored. Just started filming.
Messing with people's stuff.
Filming and commentating as I was filming. Because I always wanted to be a commentator. Really? You know what I mean? And I'm gonna say this because in my early years, I remember my last year in primary school, because I couldn't spell and write really well, my teacher, Yvonne Person, may peace be upon her, she said, this is going to be your final project. I want you to go up Somerset Bridge, watch the football game and commentate it, sit in the corner and commentate one of those little recorders, cassette tapes.
And so you did it.
And I did it.
And so what happened?
And she liked it, but she told me to sit by myself, but I sat around people.
So
it was a lot of background noise. So you know what I done?
What'd you do?
I sat down and commentated a game that didn't happen in my living room, and it was off the chain. And when people was listening to this tape, and they was like, wow. And I always wanted to be B.B. Butch Butcher on Super 96 ZFB. See, I was brought up with Alroy R.C. Smith downstairs. Yeah. You know, so Alroy and my brother.
Joe Brown.
Yeah, Joe Brown. Mine. It's a 6, it's a 4, it's going to be out. No.
It's not good.
Yeah, so I always wanted to have this, and Rick saw this, and then he brought me to you, and I felt sorry for you. Rick gave you this lump of clay, and
if these fuck ears that didn't hear, don't listen. I called Ian today. I said, I caught you on the news and your GP thing, and he's trimmed down really nice because Ian used to be much bigger, and he told me he's been on this new workout but he's really looking
That's good. I ain't got to see him before I get out.
And he sounds good now. I remember screaming at that boy.
Yeah.
I remember screaming at you.
Yeah.
I remember you and Trevor disappearing.
Yeah, we guys just go enjoy this. You know what we used to do? You didn't know. Remember we heard the police? Me and Trevor had this code. Remember we heard the police? They was go straight downstairs. We used to follow after them. People was pulling over. We was going behind them. Till somebody called Rick. You want to know how Trevor gets there first now? We got a lot of practice.
It's been talking about news as it happened. Really, you're not coming. I'm like, bye, I'll see you in the morning. I don't run after news no more.
Yeah, so but it was a good training, you know.
No, but you know what? I'm at a level now where news runs after me.
No, you've been there long enough. You served your time.
But I'm starting with all this terrible stuff. I'm not used to covering a story like COVID that lasts for 2 years.
Yeah.
I've never covered a story where more than 100 people die.
Yeah. I remember we first talked about it, see? Me and you first talked about it when it first broke out in China. And
you were in China?
I was in China. I was about 500
Calling
kilometers.
me at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I say, man, this thing is great. And you said to me, what is it? And I explained to you what was happening. And I remember you said, this is going to be big. And I'm talking about
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because you're born on my mom's birthday.
Yeah.
And she's been alive since 1930. And at the time when COVID broke out, Christmas just before it did, I was sleeping in her bed because she had just had some surgery. Yes. And we were up running in the morning. And they started talking about this virus, and she rolled up and started telling me, I remember when horses was quarantined up Somerset and this, that, and the other. So this her the next morning. I'm in lockdown. You're the gopher. Take this $50. When you go to the pharmacy, get me garlic oil, castor oil, this or. And the next day she said, take this $50, get me Lysol. That she says, and by the way, you're handling everything. I'm not doing that. She was in lockdown before the rest.
Yeah, she been there and did it. Genetic. That's a lot like my father and even my auntie godmother, who is now my
But
mom.
these children don't know enough about all that.
No.
So as a teacher, I know because I'm trained you a lot to have that mind when it comes to questions. I wonder about all those children because the ministry never said during lockdown how many children didn't even have access to the internet.
Yeah. No, that's important. That's a big thing. That's a big thing among the digital divide. You know,
It's big, right?
it's big. It's massive. The digital divide is two things to it. One part of it is those who don't have access.
Right.
I remember going to a good friend of mine, Quentin Sherlock Jr.'s NGO in Ghana, and I went over there and I had my iPad and I had my mobile phone and I asked them, did they know what it was? And they had no clue. So I did a unit with them on the digital divide, and incidentally, a week after we had done the course, children were walking around making videos and editing them on iMovie. Yeah, these kids were smart.
Okay.
You know?
So right now, you hear education reform. You hear signature schools. A lot of people don't even know what that is, but you submitted something way back in the early 2000s for STEM schools. So just now, you know, and STEM at this point is already ill.
Yeah.
Signature schools are already ill. Why are we always behind?
I think we take too long to act. I think I remember coming out of university and being at Ruth Seaton James Live with a program that Rick Richardson was doing. I'll say that and I'll say it again. We take too long to actually act when it comes to things for our children. We have a study, we have another study, we study a study, we pay some experts from outside of Bermuda a whole lot of money to come in and tell Bermudians what to do in their country, and then we go back and study that study again. And by that time, money and time has passed, and the initiatives have changed. You know, I said to the ministry some time ago, in 2014, you should have a STEM school, take one school, make it a STEM school, have computing, science, and technology coming out of the cracks on the wall, and model that, and take that model and move it on into the system.
And what happened?
What happened? They never got back to me.
So
in the same report I gave them, I told them that their infrastructure, I was up there up at Cedar Bridge doing some training, and I think they was on like 20 meg or 30 meg. That's the speed of the internet connection, right? The standard in schools at that time was 100 meg. I mean, I led my school through something called the BACTA Award. So the BACTA was the British Education and Technology Association. It was Association for Technology in Schools. And it's like an Ofsted inspection for your technology. Or like, say, the ministry coming into a school and doing an inspection. And the minimum standard was 100 meg. That was back then. Now it's a gig. You know what I mean? Because everything.
So what are you saying? The people here just don't know?
I think they know. I think we're just too slow. I even said to a mate of mine, right, who does the IIT for 34 schools in England. At that time, he was on 34, he's up to 60 something now. And he was going to come in, look at the infrastructure, because I did some training with the BUT. They brought me in to do some training. And during that training, I spoke to teachers, and a couple of teachers took me to those schools. And I got into one school, the teacher, I said, where's the Wi-Fi? So I can show you something. The teacher's like, we don't know the Wi-Fi. She called her head teacher. The head teacher didn't really want people to have it. And she admitted that the reason why that she didn't want people to have the Wi-Fi password was because data was too expensive, and they had to be under budget.
Okay.
And I had said to the ministry, as somebody in the ministry, I don't want to call people's names, I don't know about that. I ain't taking food off of people's plates. I'm just showing you some issues.
But they take food off of yours.
Yeah, well, that's okay. It's all right. You know, I'm all right. It's a big world out there. I know something bigger than Bermuda. I said to a guy, I said, why don't the ministry create their own IP company, all right? Or the government, all right? And instead of this principal playing Digicel for their data, they can be paying the ministry's IP. Could get the government to create a service where they're serving internet, and this could be for all the schools, and it could have been for all the government departments too.
Well, they're playing catch up, right? And I mentioned this on my social media. Most of my followers would know I'm in Facebook jail, so I'm going there for a minute, right? But I see these children on the bus with these expensive phones all over the place.
Yeah,
No, but here's one thing. Jobs tomorrow will require you to know a keyboard.
Keyboards, yeah.
If you got a $1,200 phone for your teenager, do they know the keyboard? Do we even teach coding? Like, why we so consistent? Because while they're catching up, baby's kids is doing a pack.
Yeah. They're teaching coding. I know they have. Yeah, I know they are. And I was even told by someone that's hiring, and I'm talking about hiring, that our kids ain't getting the coding. I don't know why. Maybe because the way we're doing it isn't right. I don't know.
So let's tell people how you reaching out to me started for us to talk about this. He called me up one day, getting the runaround because you have to be re-licensed or something
I need to be
work in Bermuda. Right now, when they're crying out for more male black teachers, are telling you can't work here for whatever. You can explain that. But he went and called me and said, after getting a royal runaround from government, he said the last lady he called, and he was calling me screaming. He said, I'm calling you the last one, and then I'm calling Ceola. And I was like, but you didn't. He said, I did. And you said, what? You could see her sit up through the phone.
I was on the phone. I could see her sitting up, and she went on this road of explaining everything to me.
So what's the problem? You're an internationally qualified teacher. Why you can't just pick up and teach now in your own country?
I perfectly understand, right? Let me tell you, the first and foremost, although we are teachers, I call myself a learning engineer. I'm not a teacher. Okay, I engineer learning adventures for children to help them develop, and I sit on the side and I assist them. I don't believe in a sage on the stage, a teacher singing and dancing in front of a class. You know what I mean? It's more about inquiring and giving them the opportunity to answer and ask each other's questions. So even though that is what we do, our primary thing is to safeguard children.
So
children have to be safe, so that they can learn in a safe environment, okay? So I do understand the stringency in vetting people.
But right now you have teachers who are not certified teaching and are not Bermudian. Talk to me.
Let's go back. I arrived in Bermuda, and I thought I'll just take off and do some supply teaching, because that's what I've been doing in England. I've been there substituting since December. I was actually working online in China, living in England, because I got stuck over there. I couldn't get back and I just got tired of being up from midnight to 9 a.m. teaching, and again weight, eating, again more weight. You know what I mean? But and I spoke to the Chinese people, and I said, can you kindly remove me from the contract, because international teachers, you don't want to get blacklisted. If you break your contract, it's blacklisted. You know what I mean? People don't know, So long story short, I did some substitute work. I said, I'll go home and do it, because my father passed, may peace be upon him. So I said, I'll go home and I'll do some substituting, look at what it was. Before I left England, I applied for a job, and I got a job in Thailand. And I said to the lady, I can't give you a definite answer, but I'll come. You know what I mean? And I got here thinking I'll do some substitute teaching, see what I can do, see what role I can play. Because I'm aware, and I keep hearing we need teachers, we need males. Our young black men are having issues. And I was like, well, maybe I can go and help and be a part of it. I used to be, Ceola, the private school executive rep in the Bermuda Education Council. So this is not some newly qualified teacher. This is not someone that is applying for their first time to apply and for a license in Bermuda. I held a license in Bermuda. I taught at Bermuda High School while I was also on the executive. And I said to them, I'd like to start, they said, you got to reapply now. This is something that they bought in. I said, why would I have to?
Policy.
Why do I have to reapply? So I said, what do I need? And she told me this. I said, you have all of that. I gave you all of this. And then she said, well, we really
And it was already vetted.
It's already that you vetted.
So
and what really ticked me off was the fact that they wanted my transcript from university that I'd attended. I left
From 40 years ago?
I left university in 1986, right?
Seriously?
They already have it. So I said to her, I have a copy of it, and it has a Chinese stamp on the back. It's been legalized by Brazil, so this thing has been vetted internationally. And there's like, no, it has to be an envelope from the university. I said I can put it in a Christmas card and send it to you. It'll be sealed. It'll be sealed. No, so okay, I understand your policy. So why is it that they couldn't just give me a temporary license until my paperwork came from Atlanta? I'm not talking.
You ask them that.
Yeah.
And what they say?
We can't do that.
But you have foreign teachers here without it that are working.
Hello. My wife got a hustle from a contract worker, right? I'm not going to call the country name because I love that country, you know? And this person here is on a contract and she's doing side hustles. Right?
Cleaning houses.
Cleaning houses. So my wife reached out to her. Yeah.
So she giving your wife.
She gave my wife a house. So my wife goes to do this job, right? The lady comes in to pay her. I said, oh, you got an accent. Where you from? She told me where she is from, right? And so listen, I said, what you do? Oh, I'm a teacher. I said, yeah. I said, I'm a teacher as well. I taught, she knows where I taught and whatnot. And she said, why are you a teacher? I said, I want to do some substitute work, but the BEC wants me to get my transcripts all over, and I'm kind of not happy about it. And she said, I don't have my BEC license yet. They're letting me work. Come to find out, she's not even a teacher, but she's teaching. You know what I mean? So
how that make you feel?
That made me feel like I went in. I always think, I wrote an email, and when there's something in my mind, I write the email and I leave and I go back to it.
Yeah, because I've learned not to write when you're angry.
I went back to it.
That's probably why I'm in Facebook jail.
I went back home and pressed enter.
That's dangerous to me.
Yeah, I went back and I pressed enter on my...
and what happened?
Well, I pressed enter and told the people in Thailand I'll be there.
So y'all said 2 hours Bermuda?
Yeah, why? It's a big world out there.
So if they sort this out before you go, you won't stay?
I'll see them, man. My word's my bond. I've given these people my word. I'll be there on August the 1st and I'll be there.
So how you feel, your wife, how you feel about foreign nationals here on contract, only permitted for one job, having hustles, when we've got Bermudians out of work? How do you feel about that?
I go into Kentucky Fried Chicken and a contract worker is taking my order and serving me a bottle of water.
So your problem is what?
Why are we giving these low-level jobs to people with contracts when so many of our children are on the street and not got jobs? Why are we doing that? And I don't get it.
But when you talk to workforce development, they'll say, well, just getting these Bermudians to show up for a job is a problem.
The problem is that we created a micro environment, a micro economy. By not spending money, and we spent a lot of money on tourism and international business and whatnot, but we didn't spend a lot of money in educating our young black males and our people. We didn't do that. So the money's been going somewhere else. That's why some of the schools were so dilapidated. That's why in 2014 when I came here, they had interactive whiteboards that weren't working, that teachers didn't get training to use because they couldn't afford it because of constraints. So the money hasn't been going where it should be going.
So how do you feel about the Great Divide? Because they're talking about closing down government schools because we're not repopulating, right? They're talking about signature schools. But you're also talking about an increasing number of students in home schools. And people are still taking their children out of that crap and sending them private.
No, but people would rather not have that new Gucci bag and make sure that their daughter's going to BHS. You know what I mean? No guy's not worrying about having the best type of car.
So what does that say about our Ministry of Miseducation? What does it say about a government that's now 32-6 with more power and not one administration? You're talking about a government, UBP, that brought in a senior school system that was already failing in Canada. And when they did that, they killed interschool sports. They killed all of that.
Talking about interschool sports, right? I'm going to tell you something. You sent me to that shoot. You was the boy. I think you sent Lisa Calhoun. It wasn't I think Ian was somewhere acting crazy and we're in the cameras. So you said, Butch, can you go do this shoot for me? I need you to go. So I went. I was behind the camera when Gerald Simmons, may peace be upon him. Gerald Simons. He was
still alive.
He's alive?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that.
Dead yet.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Mrs. Simons.
Take it back.
But Gerald, he said that what they were doing, and I looked around the camera and I was like, what are you gonna do? Aren't you gonna kill the competitive edges that we had in inter-school sports and you know, send these people having pride in their little community, and St. George's people having pride? I remember inter-school sports as a sports commentator, and everything I've seen, the best race I have ever seen, even with Usain Bolt and that guy, Michael Johnson, they couldn't touch a race between Ian Rollins, Crystal Bear, and Marvin Stovall, Whitney and Roy Exet. Ian could run. Those guys came run the corner in the old National Stadium on the carpet, and every student in Bermuda Secondary School who was at the at National Stadium all just gathered and watched this race. That's what having schools in neighborhoods and people in their areas going to these schools and representing.
So what did he say?
He told me I'm not a reporter. I said, well, I'll turn the camera off and cut the tape down. Nobody would know what you're doing.
So then what happened?
I think Lisa asked the question. I don't know if Lisa asked the question. He went on to explain it, and other people. But, you know, even back then, I said, this is not right for Bermuda.
So in hindsight, X years later, what you said, Bermuda's best and the brightest went in a room and said it didn't matter?
It didn't matter, yeah. Because I think it was bigger. I wonder if it was...
It's by design?
It was about design. This is and the reason why our children are black males are where they are is that we didn't counteract this plan. We didn't notice this plan that was already being enacted upon us. We didn't. They took away our trades. Even in the USA, they took away the trades from the schools where black men were showing up and charging $60 an hour to do some plumbing or do some electricity.
So what you're saying is all about...
They took that out of these schools. They took that out of these schools. They took the black man's bread and butter. My father, my uncle, my cousins, they all built their houses together. They were builders. I remember being a youngster, and you can always see a tradesman walking to work with his level and his shovel and his bag of food.
When you go today, you see Portuguese and Jamaicans.
You see non-Bermudians.
So what happened?
What happened? They took the careers tax and they took these things out of the school.
So what stopped them tradesmen from opening their own school?
I don't know. I really don't have that answer, Ceola. I wish I did.
Well, it's even in the clubs. Your daddy helped build Rangers.
I'm done talking about the clubs.
How many shootings and stabbings you had up Rangers? What your daddy say about old dad?
My daddy said, this is not what we established. You see, that's why I talked earlier about this microeconomy. We didn't spend enough time and money on our young black man. He got met in the street by someone that offered him a way to make some money. And so he started doing it. So when Malik didn't finish school, instead of him going to work for $15 an hour, on a Friday night, he was making $1,500. Why would he not? And this happened around the island. So now the economy brought up.
More than 30 years ago said damn black boys on the wall is going to be a problem and never did nothing to address it. Yeah. Next years later, they strapped and got more money buried up under these mountains.
Yeah, that's right. They got more money than
you can shake a stick at.
You had a gun amnesty. Why don't you have a money amnesty and let these young men take that money, invest it in businesses, and hire people? I mean, somebody's going to say, oh, you're just laundering money, but the super rich do it every day using lawyers. You know what I mean? You got all these young men now that are banked up, and that money is somewhere underneath a rug somewhere or hidden somewhere or underground somewhere. You know what I mean? So if these guys are smart enough to establish their little microeconomy, right? These guys have outspoken the multi-billion-dollar DEA, cross-border customs, and these guys are getting what they're getting into Bermuda from different parts of the world. Aren't these brothers smart enough to be CEOs in a company? Or are these young black men smart enough to be able to run their own businesses? Aren't they smart enough to be a part of the solution? But we don't want that. So we created this. They showed you that with or without you were going to be successful. You know what I mean? Now it's time for us to say, look, you guys were successful. How can you play a part in helping us do this? You know what I mean? In the report that I wrote in 2014 to the ministry, I said get every international business to adopt a school. You understand? These companies have mega money, and they have a community responsibility. If every one of them had adopted a school, the schools wouldn't have been as dilapidated as they are.
Well, if we up the ante for them to practice here, we could have some roads repaired.
Yeah, man. Whereas I come back to Bermuda,
I just had a friend come
stunned.
back from Jamaica and England,
Yeah,
and said the roads in Bermuda are worse.
I understand now, Ceola, that what they're cutting up the whole island because they're finally
Right.
putting it underground.
Right.
How many years have we been saying put all
At
this
least
stuff underground?
25.
25.
And that big blackout they had a few summers ago, they came out and said none of the wires have been replaced in 60 years.
You know what I'm saying?
That's where we was born.
We were talking about this when Emily was here. How come the wires are still in trees and whatnot? You know. So my issue is with Bermuda, people are sitting back collecting fat paychecks and not moving. They're studying studies. They get in front of cameras. They talk sweet. They look nice, but you have to be moving. You have to be actioning stuff. I tell people all the time, don't have a meeting with me. I have to have a list of actions to leave to go and do. If you have no actions in that meeting, don't call me again because I ain't coming back.
Don't you hate meetings though?
For nothing. I'm meeting for the sake of a meeting. And that's
1
what
o'clock
happens.
news meeting every day.
That's why I used to show up at 2.
We'll be back right after this.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. This program is brought to you by title sponsors Bermuda Healthcare Services and SCARS, saving children and revealing secrets.
For more than 30 years, Bermuda Healthcare Services and the Brown Darrell Clinic have provided state-of-the-art diagnostic choices to the people of Bermuda. We were the first facility outside the hospital to establish a full array of imaging services. Under the skillful supervision of Dr. Mahesh Reddy, we offer CAT scanning, ultrasound, echocardiography, X-ray, and MRI scanning. Our team of highly skilled technologists hold outstanding credentials, and our staff will ensure that your visit is comfortable and confidential. If you would like to experience our private care, feel free to let your doctor know. Our CT and MRI results are available from the Leahy Clinic in 24 hours or less. For more information, check our website at bhcs.bm or call us at 236-2810. Building trust, one patient at a time.
Training may end at 6 o'clock. It's getting fairly dark early now. But coaches know, and the administrators know as well, that even though a parent may be a bit late picking up their child, they know that that child and that adult should never be in the same spot at the same time. There's always what we call the tripod effect, where there's a young person and 2 adults. So we practice that up until today. So it's great to know that the team administrators, which are the youth parents and the coaches, are still understanding the importance of protecting the children.
This program is brought to you in part by Project Action and Sensei Roots Phillips and Zenji Ru Bermuda Karate Do, raising the level of discipline through martial arts for countless students in Bermuda and internationally over the years. Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson, one-on-one.
So bring it up to speed. A lot of these boys in these gangs never even made it out of school.
You know why, Ceola? I'm not going to say the main reason why. Look, fish swim in flocks in schools. Birds fly in flocks, you know. Wolves and dogs. You ever seen in heat, dogs in heat, or female dogs in heat? I'm not going to call the name, but you know what it is. You have like 20 dogs chasing after it. So in nature, it is natural and it's okay for animals to move together. When young people do it, we decide to call them a gang. I remember there's little boys on top of St. Augustine Hill, because I remember I played for Boulevard, and it was a white wall. So they used to sit on the wall, kick the ball against the wall after school. Probably the house was too hot, didn't have air conditioning. The daddy started to call them the White Wall Gang. These were just some young men flocking together after school, hanging out. We called them gangs and started saying this gang, and that gang. So they go and say, well, why a gang? Let's do what gangs do. What their perception of what gangs was do. So we have to be careful how we label people. You know what I mean? We have to be careful how we do this. Because we build monsters. You understand? They probably didn't mean to build a monster, but they did. And now they really got some gangbangers.
Okay, but listen. Tupac told you a long time ago about Brenda had a baby.
Yeah.
And that baby was named Baby.
Yeah.
And then babies had babies.
Yeah.
And that mama's outside.
Yeah.
Drinking and shotting Henny and twerking on TikTok.
Yeah.
While her little demons are doing a pack, and we all sat back.
Yeah, yeah, because...
And said, it's not that bad. Oh, I like these ones. Their mama says, but it's such a good little boy.
No, it's not my child syndrome. I come across that a lot in schools.
What is that?
We accept mediocrity sometimes.
It's like the norm.
Yeah, because...
No. Okay.
When I say we accept mediocrity, right? I remember coming to Bermuda to do a STEM Robotics Maker Academy. And me and one of the guys I brought with me from Brazil, I brought 3 of them. And then I brought a guy from America. We were walking across City Hall. And I kept seeing children in school uniform. And one of them said, what's that? I said, that's a school uniform. That's school. But it's summer holiday. So I stopped a few of them. And they said, oh, yeah, we all failed. So we're doing summer school. And I said, how many of you? And one of the little lad said to me, it was about 210 people. There's all at Berkeley doing summer school. And that happened every year. And we accepted mediocrity. So if we're accepting it in schools, it's going to branch out into the homes where the mediocrity is being bred. See, we blame teachers and we blame government, but we also have to look at what we're doing in our homes. And sometimes what we're doing in our homes is a result of decisions that are made in governments.
Because everything starts and finishes in the home.
Yes, that's right.
But I've talked to preschool teachers who have told me a 3-year-old girl comes crying because little Johnny told her to, where he getting that from?
It's getting from him. All behaviors are taught or learned. I've learned that. I learned that. It's all learned.
So how do you explain? You call and the teacher, the parent wants to come beat up the teacher. No?
Hear me now. I got put into supply in this school, right? In Rochdale. It's a part of England, near Manchester. And I got into this school, my first lesson, and I was astounded.
Because?
These children were off the chain.
Meaning?
I've never seen such. I said to them, you all ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
Because?
The way they was acting, they was rude. They was disrespectful. I would detested it. One child came to my classroom, opened the door and said, yeah, I'm gonna mash you up. And I'll beat you up too, sir. And I was like, wow, and just walked away.
How old are you talking about? Teenage?
You're 10.
What's that?
You're 10s or 14, 15.
So what was that? So it's everywhere?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
So,
TikTok drove our children crazy.
Who?
TikTok. They're all making videos and doing stuff and
doing crazy.
They're trying to outdo each other. But you see, what happened was, right? As a learning engineer, I give my children a task to do, right? They do it. They give it back to me. I look at it. I grade it, make some comments, give it back to them, and let them make it better. So our children do that naturally, but we didn't learn the technology right. We instead banned the phones from schools, right? So the children learned how to use them on social media. You see, these phones are more powerful than the laptops that school budgets are struggling to buy. You know what I mean? So we didn't teach children how to use this. Any school I go in, I do projects where the children use their phones. They're creating an app. They may be making a video. They may be making
and they're doing it.
And they're doing it. So what we needed to do was teach children how to use them for education and for social media, so they knew the difference.
So instead, mom just gave you this expensive phone and little 13-year-olds watching Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B.
Yeah, instead of doing
while
some
your son's
research.
listening to drill music, talking about killer so this way and that way.
Instead of using them to do some research and instead of
So you see all this playing out, because all I hear is a lot of talking. Like government's talking about closing down schools without a plan for the empty buildings.
I know.
You know, where you see this good, besides Ron DeSantis Mulberry Bush?
Yeah, Ron
because
DeSantis.
I'm going to say it again, we are now 30-6.
Yeah.
You have more power than you've ever had. What I don't see is division.
I don't
what
know.
that book say about a people without vision?
Faith, it says faith without
Nobody's
works is
saying
dead.
nothing, B.
Yeah, faith without works is dead. They said, but there's no vision, the people will perish. I've seen that.
And what church good community?
This is a God-fearing nation.
Well, so where they at? Because right now Satan looks like him.
Satan's running things.
So where God's soldiers at?
I don't know.
They're busy praying, right?
Yeah, they're praying for it.
So how you see this playing out? It's not sustainable.
I am afraid for my granddaughters.
Because
of what I envision might happen. It's not going to change.
It's going to get worse. It's going to change. Why you say that?
I think this is a perfect example of Robert Nesta Marley said total destruction is the only solution.
It's got to go that way.
I ain't talking about destruction like blowing up, but that's what's happening now. Well, our children were self-destructing. We have young men and young women who have no regard for life. That life doesn't mean anything to them. I was just riding on a bike on Key 4 Road this morning, really sharp corner. So, you know, I was keeping to the left. I don't know why. This guy came in the opposite direction from Harbor Road, and if it wasn't in 60 kilometers per hour, he was moving. If I wouldn't have did this and that, he was on the middle of my side of the road. He wasn't on the middle line. The middle. And this young guy doesn't even care about his life. He's just got on the bike and going. And we're doing that on bikes. They get into party. We used to go to sessions, man. We used to go to the barn. We used to go up the boiler room. Guys weren't kidding and shooting each other. If you stole on somebody's new white sneakers, he might say, hey, yo, walk on, you know what I mean?
So how much you think Molly, Axe, Henny, Sheriff's got?
All of it.
Because?
That has all of it to do is altering the states of our minds. Our young people just drink. Drink. Somebody wrote a song.
But they shotting Henny though.
They not shotting Henny. They buy a bottle. They walking through the dance with a bottle of Henny.
No, but you know half a bottle of Henny, you want to turn into Mike Tyson. That's on a good day without no other drugs.
Yeah, man.
So what's going on? Because this now we just seen a second stabbing incident involving young women at the same car park. Yeah. That's not normal behavior. They tell me that fight broke out on the drink line.
You see that? And the next day, that thing was open because I was down the beach.
So business as usual.
Business as usual. When something happened at my club at Randers, they shut it down for 24 hours. I took my daughters to the beach the next day, and there's all in there dancing and singing and reggae music and dancehall and all of that.
So what's that?
I don't know. I'm not even gonna go there because I don't want to take food out of people's plates. You know what I mean?
Well, what I'm saying is we all sitting there watching with our eyes open, wide shut.
And we're talking about what woke.
What's up, family?
Yeah.
Then your cousin kills your son.
Yeah.
What is that? But it's not just Bermuda, it's everywhere we are.
It's a lot of it. So, I don't want to say I blame a specific genre of music or whatnot, but it's social media. It's that plan to, when they created these, right? The guys that created this, right? They were the upper echelons. You know, they didn't have my skin color or darker. Part of their plan was to make something more addictive than nicotine.
And they got it.
I see people just look at their phone just to see if there's... Your phone has to give you a notification. You don't know you still... How many times you do? Oh, yeah. Okay.
One of my girls said to me, oh, my phone was blowing up all night. Now I'm looking at her. She said, why? I said, your phone don't have an off button.
Yeah.
And they look at you like...
Yeah,
see, you know how we roll. We roll with this on silent. We monitor. It don't go the other way around.
I silence mine all the time.
I mean, but in today's world, people like to And it's getting worse. You know, I mean, how you on the phone all day? You know the lyrics to every song, but you can't write a sentence.
No, I know.
How your mama don't know you can't write a sentence?
Because you can talk about. See, I'm dyslexic, so writing was the hardest thing in the world for me. But what we need to do as educators is find the brilliance in every children. And you see, you can't paint every classroom the same brush.
No child learns. It's like
you got
if
to
you and
differentiate.
Ian with your writing and spelling, I never wrote you for that because in broadcasting it's all about pronunciation. It's not about spelling, it's about speaking conversationally.
That's right.
And you guys had natural gab.
Yeah.
Right? So even if your script looked like gibberish to me, and I knew it, I'd like take your script and go. I didn't sweat you over that.
Yeah, no.
But if you was training to be a newspaper, I would have been on you.
Yeah, no problem. But you know, I think you know what? I think one of the issues is that we're trying to go down a road to make sure so many children get so many GCSEs or IGCSEs and IBs when I think what we really need is to have more subject-specific mini courses for children, because if you have these children in your system, Bermuda's like a little small system, you have them in your system from young, you should be able to identify who's academic, who's sports-minded, who works well with their hands, who's artistic, and I think
we used to have that, and Jennifer's.
And I think that's what they're trying to do with signature schools, but I don't know if that's why they're doing it. If they're not, then you got a reason to do it, and then you should identify this stuff early. So little Mikey shouldn't be trying to do 3 or 4 or 5 GCSEs. Maybe getting him a qualifications as a carpenter will help him in the long run, as opposed to disengaging him, trying to make him study the Roman Empire.
Look, when I got out of work academy, I want to go straight college or Bermuda College. You had to have 5 GCEs. They taught me because my 5 didn't include math.
Math and English.
I had to go remedial. They was telling me I had to go 2 years behind to get ahead. And now forget this woman, I can't call her name, 7-day Adventist school said, sweetheart, you don't have to do that. Because I told my mama, if I don't go away right away and I start working, because I was always a hustler. When I started making money, she got me out. I left for university at 16, but I went through the back door, through Atlantic Union College. Through the 7-day Adventist. That woman said, girl, we'll take your religion, DC. But I was telling these people, I don't want to be an accountant. I'm always want to be a journalist.
I tell a lot of the children of mine.
But you're still holding people back from getting ahead.
Wait. I tell a lot of my children, especially when I was in China, because Chinese parents, they're really strict. They want all of their children to go to the best universities, to Yale and to Harvard and all them. And I try to explain to them the thing about universities in America. There's a saying, pay your fees and get your C's. So what I've done with a lot of children who were mediocre, whose parents wanted them to go, I said, just go to a small university or community university, do really well, and then transfer out. And I've seen a lot of my children do that. You know what I mean? I don't know if we do that here. I don't know where all our students go. I think more of our students...
In the black community in Bermuda in particular, we have thousands of people bust their chops to get their children college educated, to be trained to come back and work for them. Why in 2022 we're not training our children to go get their stuff and form their own business so you can hire your own people? Every other race does it besides us. But now I raised my son like that.
Yeah, no, my daddy didn't raise me like that. My daddy raised me. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Since I started teaching, it was the first time I stopped making money while I sleep. My motto was always make money when you sleep. You know what I mean? And when I got into teaching, how I ended up teaching?
Because you're not teachable, Herman.
Hey, yo,
I take it back, I'm sorry.
I went to my son's parent-teacher meeting up at Berkeley, and I saw this beautiful teacher. I was like, let's go talk to her. Let's go talk to her. He said, that's not my teacher. They said, you go to your teacher. I'm going to talk to her. And long story short, I married her. We went to England. I had an interview with BBC Cambridge. I got up January the 16th, went outside. It was too cold. I went back inside. And then I just started doing some little supply work through his. And eventually my wife said to me, you should be a teacher, boy. you don't know, you will make a difference.
They teachers here say it hasn't been sufficient training for Cambridge, but it gets slapped on
It
them.
just got slapped on them.
So what do we do?
We move too fast. We see something, somebody.
Like we just paid almost $3 million to some people in Australia to tell us how to set up. Why?
I don't know. I don't know why Bermudians always think people from somewhere else is an expert.
That's that colonial
That's
mentality.
the colonial mentality, and
We haven't shaken that.
I remember telling someone in the ministry about in 2014, 2015, that we could set up a STEM curriculum for you guys. It was me, my mate Kai, who taught with me in Brazil. He's from the USA. He's a physicist. This boy's
And
brilliant.
that was back in 2015.
2014, 15.
What
and he's a
happened?
physicist.
Nobody got back to you.
Turn them up. We guys will do it. Create a website for you. All this stuff will be there
What
for
they
you. We just gonna do it for $9,000 because I really didn't know how to price it. I just wanted to do it for my children. You know what they did?
What?
They paid somebody $110,000. STEM 101. That's what they did. Seriously.
That's got it bite.
I don't get it. I don't. I guess when you come into position in office, you come with what you come with. Like if I was given the Commissioner of Education's role tomorrow, right, which wouldn't happen, I'm gonna come with all the diamonds that I've passed up in my life. You know what I mean? I'm going back to the best of the best that I met in England, the best of the best I worked with in China, the best of the best. I'm in a group of Southeast Asian computer science teachers. It's about 200 something of us now, and we help each other and we work each other. We're gonna be in a class and have a question. I'll just pick up my phone and put it there, and somebody will come back with something and examples. We network like that. So when you come into positions, you usually come with your network. That's like, I like what you said at the top of the thing, that when governments change, they come with their network. You know what I mean? If I'm sitting here, I've got tenure. They call it Kenyan universities, where where professors get massive grants to study. They get tenure for the rest of their life. They work. But when you do that in the civil service, what you get is mediocrity, and that's what we've got. Because I got a job till I'm 65. You know what I mean?
And then you get
every now and then I'll do something brilliant. Every now and then I'll go back and sit back. And I don't think people leave home to do bad. You know, I played football and cricket all my life, and I always said, I don't think a referee or umpire leaves home to cheat or to make bad decisions.
So how you feel about them when they curse out referees? They had an incident not too long ago.
How they went out of that poor referee.
Y'all right here, y'all in that league.
Pretty soon the referees are going to be robots, see? Pretty soon. It's going to happen. AI is going to take it all over. They got this VAR thing. Pretty soon, it's not going to be nobody running around.
So when you say you love your children and they're just being obliterated out of the whole picture.
Yeah, so that's why now it's more important than ever to go back to our youngsters and create something different so that they don't get sucked into the dark side. When I say the dark side, the side that is not going to be advantageous. They may make lots and lots of money, but can they spend it?
But a lot of it is economic as well. A lot of times we have mothers who know their sons are doing what they're doing, but it's bringing home the paper.
Yeah. It's taking care of the family.
That's economic.
Yeah, it's economic.
That's something else we never fixed.
No, we didn't fix that. That's what I said earlier. We allowed another whole...
Right now you have a 32-6 government. The PLP has more seats than they've ever had. And I don't hear nothing from none of them except this Bitcoin crap. Yeah. They're looking like the bourgeois UBP to me.
Crypto coins is the future. See, crypto, I'm not just talking about crypto coins, the blockchain and AI is the future. You know what I mean? Right now, we're sitting in a studio, right? There are several cameras in it, one person operating all them cameras, right?
You don't see him.
And you don't see him. And so, you know, what's going to happen? Like, I took one of my teachers to a course we were in Shenzhen, which is on the border of Hong Kong and China, and we went to Suzhou to a course. When we got to the airport, he smoked cigarettes, right? This robot comes up to us, and he had a tray in his hand. And he had sensed the lighter. And then a message came up, can I have your lighter, please? You know what I mean? It first came up in Chinese, then it had another language, and then it finally said English. And we looked at each other and smiled, and he gave him the lighter. When we came back, this same robot, right? I don't know if they used facial recognition or what, was there when we came through and offered us a lighter.
Because he's seen you before.
They because he's seen him, but it was a robot. It wasn't a customs
They're
officer.
doing it with cashiers.
Yeah.
Not talking about in a certain year they won't have truckers.
Yeah.
Would you get in a car or a truck with no driver? I'm not sure if I'm brave. Maybe Lemon might do it. It's high tech like that. I'm not good with it. Like, bye, love you.
I'm going to have to test it first to see what
you go first, bro. You go first.
But that's where the technology is good. And see, that's why we need to be raising a generation of children that have that vision. Not the vision of packing a shelf at Marketplace, or not the vision of, I don't know, serving a drink or whatever.
Government's talking about Bermuda's getting back in hospitality. Bermuda's ain't breaking down that door.
I don't know if they want to. That's why everything has to be redone, you know? We have to redo it. When I was going to work, we had a restaurant in our school. And that was training.
Yeah, training.
That was training.
But how you feel about that building when you see it closed, though?
It absolutely broke my heart. Absolutely. How do we allow that to happen? I know mold is an issue in Bermuda, but on whose watch was that?
Quite a few.
And they're still working. Yeah, man.
Let's wrap up in a minute. We'll be back right after this.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. This program is brought to you in part by Project Action and Sensei Roots Phillips and Zenji-Ru Bermuda Karate Do, raising the level of discipline through martial arts for countless students in Bermuda and internationally over the years.
For more than 30 years, Bermuda Healthcare Services and the Brown Darrell Clinic have provided state-of-the-art diagnostic choices to the people of Bermuda. We were the first facility outside the hospital to establish a full array of imaging services. Under the skillful supervision of Dr. Mahesh Reddy, we offer CAT scanning, ultrasound, echocardiography, X-ray, and MRI scanning. Our team of highly skilled technologists hold outstanding credentials, and our staff will ensure that your visit is comfortable and confidential. If you would like to experience our private care, feel free to let your doctor know. Our CT and MRI results are available from the Leahy Clinic in 24 hours or less. For more information, check our website at bhcs.bm or call us at 236-2810. Building trust, one patient at a time.
Are you looking for an event coordinator or filming crew for a live television broadcast? Search no more. Gino Crimson is at your service, specializing in international 3D graphics, event creative, and technical direction. We offer a product second to none. A combination of two well-known production companies, Gino Group and Crimson Multimedia, together bring more than 20 years of experience in production of local and international ad campaigns and television broadcast programming. Specializing in national sporting events, Gino Crimson is also known for the full production of the annual Sports Awards, Kappa Classics Live, live pay-per-view boxing events, the general and municipal elections, the T-Talk Show, Cut Match Classic, and much more. Providing the best of the island's skilled production crew, we organize an amazing network of camera operators, directors, vision mixers, on-camera hosts, sports anchors, and beauty consultants, all while using the latest in production equipment for a high-quality live television broadcast. Gino Crimson. Our vision is to make your request a reality, and we would be happy to be a part of your next event.
This program is brought to you by title sponsors Bermuda Healthcare Services and SCARS, saving children and revealing secrets. Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson, one-on-one.
So, in one of your encounters over the years to get re-employed in Bermuda, you applied to Saltus. What happened?
I applied to soldiers a couple of times.
So what else?
Because I desperately want to come back home. I applied for a job, and they never got back to me. They hired a foreigner. I knew that because I asked somebody, and they told me. And then I applied again the following year, or the year after, the following year. Same thing. Soldiers never got back to me. Somebody found out about it, and they contacted immigration. So immigration contacted me and asked me, do I still want that job? And I was like, of course I do, but I'm employed now. Soldiers told immigration that they got back to me. Never got back to me. Who is monitoring this stuff? This is just me, my experience. How many times has this happened to Bermudians abroad who want to come back here and stay in job? Who's actually monitoring this stuff? Who's actually looking at this? You know, when these schools are advertising, I got a job advertising for BHS, but by the time I was I somebody, and you know what happened? The head teacher of BHS called me. You understand? She said, we hired somebody, the contract's done. And I was like, you know what, I probably didn't understand that. You know what I mean? I was late. You know what I mean? Because it was advertised in Bermuda first, and I showed on the international.
So do they have you on file? No.
Yeah. So she said, I saw her the other day. Linda Park, one of the best head teachers I ever worked for. When I worked at BHS, she called me into her office. I was like, what have I done wrong? Because, you know, when I was young, I spent more time in the principal's office than the principal. When the principal called me to her office, she said, Darren, Butchie B. Small man, she called me Butchie B. Can you do one thing for me? Can you do something to help us bridge the gap between the primary school and the public school? She just gave me an open license. I was having primary school children coming up into my library at BHS to do robotics and STEM and stuff. They was doing programming and all that. And that was her vision. Because she knew, she had worked in a public school, and she knew that there was more that we could do to bridge the gap.
So that only
the Minister of Education is not the Minister of Public Education. It's the Minister of all education, whether it be the same person that's there or whatever. You know what I mean? So that why hasn't that happened? Why has past ministers said, let's do something to bridge this gap? Why hasn't that happened? Because all the children from Soldiers, Work Academy, Summersfield, and BHS, they're all going to get 7 or 8 IGCSEs, where the kids at Barclay and Cedar Bridge are going to struggle to get C's. Because I saw a report where the minister was talking about we got so many A to G's. Nobody's looking for G's in IGCSE. That's failing. It's a passing grade. If you not got a C or above, you haven't passed.
So what is that?
That's the mediocrity that we have.
But it hasn't changed, Pete.
It hasn't changed, man.
At least, okay, the PLP said the transfer exam was elitist, discriminatory.
Yeah.
We came through that.
Yeah, we came through that.
Transfer exam separated the bright ones from the mediocres.
Yeah. And then they had programs for the bright ones, and they had programs for those are the
and there's 2 schools back then were Barclay and Work Academy when it came to public.
The academics, See,
but Barclay's standard now is not what it used to be.
No, it's not.
It's a joke.
I know. I was talking to my nephew, teasing him and his mates the other day. They were walking. I said, you know, when I went Barclay was for the bright children. Now they just let anybody go there. Well, they was helping me doing some work.
And you said that?
They would pick up one, the other one would walk, and the next one would pick up one. I said, stop. Make a line and just pass it down the line into the shed. And one of them said, wow, this is easy. And I was teasing them. I said, when I went to school, the Barclay children were the bright ones. What happened to you guys?
What they say?
They just laughed, you know what I mean?
So what we doing?
I don't know. It's the same thing with our sports clubs, you know? They're all the same way they were when I was playing sports. It's all the same. They're still selling alcohol as their income. I want to know why Somerset Cricket Club and St. George's Cricket Club ain't got a business for scaffolding, because every year they have to pay somebody a lot of money to put up all this scaffolding. Why they haven't invested in their own scaffolding? You know what I mean? I hate to pick on them too, but that's just an example. All of our sports clubs are doing the same thing. Nobody has switched up. How many of them earn them a gym? How many of the clubs own a gym? They got cricket and football and netball and softball teams. They go somewhere else to the gym. How many of them actually own a gym and rent them out? I got a club, my club, on the South Shore on the Gold Coast. I was on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, and a lady said to me, why did I come off Horseshoe Bay and there was a pizza shop? Why wasn't there a fish place or seafood place? And I proposed that to my club. Let's put gazebos out front and sell seafood and whatnot.
What they tell
and get it to the tournament. I don't know, man. We're always so slow. Our man was so Caribbean, I guess it is. Well, island life. I don't know what it is. We need to switch it up because the whole world's going and leaving us. Do you realize all these tourism destinations? People's going to their places. What if Ron here fighting and struggling? Can they keep Princess open? Can they keep Princess maintained? You understand?
There were some tourists stranded. I think one Friday the cruise ship was leaving at 5, so they were all dashing up to the bus stop. You sent me pictures.
Yeah.
But we haven't had tourists for 2 years.
Yeah, come on.
Hey, we can't get it right.
I was sitting on my porch for an hour and a half. I was working, and I saw the line going from the bus stop going down the hill. Bus after bus came. Few got on. Someone wasn't the right bus. You know why? I was hoping that when I posted that, somebody would have saw it and said to somebody at TCD, send some buses up there and get them people up to the boat.
But you're not ready. You're not ready. You had nothing for 2 years. You're not ready.
I don't know.
Somebody posted on social media, people were stranded down the airport. They was calling for something like 10 or 20. What? Bermuda's the only place you call for a taxi. Oh, we don't have nothing in your area.
Yeah. They don't have Uber in Bermuda?
Yeah, they got Hitch or something.
Yeah, Hitch, that's what it was. Yeah.
But I mean,
we got a lot of work to do.
You notice as well today, you don't see children with pens.
No, it's typing.
They signed that debit card thing, and that's.
Yeah. No,
do they do handwriting anymore?
In the foundation years they do, but then they do keyboarding a lot. You know,
so you have to learn the keyboard.
Yeah, you better learn it right now because I'm still doing that. I know what the keys are. Not as bad as it used to be. I can look away and type, but when I look back, it's a whole lot of rubbish. But I know what the keys are. But I tell my children that is a skill you need to practice. And then
it should be mandatory here now. What are we waiting
my
for?
year 6s, I don't teach primary, but sometimes I teach year 6. And every lesson, the first 10 minutes, they get to type. We do typing tutor, we typing games.
So when you hear your government, we want Bermudians to come home, and you're hitting flack like this, you say what?
It's a bigger world out there that's offering me better, and I'm living a really good life. I want to help, but if you don't want me, it's okay. I'll just do what I'm doing.
Now you're bilingual now. I speak a little Portuguese.
I speak a lot of Portuguese. My wife's Brazilian. I lived in Brazil for 4 years. I wouldn't say that I'm fluent in Chinese, but I can get in a taxi and tell them where I'm going. If I'm in a shop, I can tell them what I want.
So you'd be like, you could do that for real. I can't believe you.
And it's so funny when I was in China, I speak just a bit of Mandarin. They just used to laugh because they say, because China just opened up to the world like the last 40 years. So people think Chinese are really racist. They just haven't seen people like us before.
So when you're a black guy talking
Chinese, they just laugh and it's like, ni hao. And then they want to get in this conversation with me. I'm like,
you know what the heck they're saying. Then you get lost.
And I know that asks me where I'm from. I just say Bashi, which is Brazil. Because if I say Bermuda, they ain't got a clue. If I say Bashi, Neymar, you know what I mean? And I'm able to communicate like that. But if I heard two Chinese speakers, I also speak Patois, Australian, US, Canadian. So I speak a lot of languages.
And Bermudian.
And Bermudian, Wagwan.
So in closing, thank you for coming on board.
Hey, thanks for helping me. I just hope that our country gets it right. I want nothing better than for us to get it. Let's heal our children.
When Bermudians call it talk show and make noise and say, I hope my ministers listen, then we got to hold them accountable. That's we. No. Okay? You can't sit up and keep talking about it. You know? I will remind this government and every politician that in the last general election, 47% of the electorate said to act with both of you. My prediction, nothing personal. Get mad, drink the Kool-Aid, don't drink the Kool-Aid. No matter to me, okay? But watch that number grow. Yeah. Don't come back crying to me, you told me so, that I told you and you didn't listen. I'm done. Not everybody's gonna make it to the promised land. Got a problem? Go pray about it. See you next time.
Child sexual abuse has a voice. It's called pain. Learn what you can do to minimize the risk. Get SCARS certified. This message is brought to you by SCARS. saving children, and revealing secrets. Please visit scarsbermuda.com for more information.
We all have a story. We all experience life. It's a journey. Sometimes we must share our stories. So let's have a conversation. We need some grown folk talk.
Welcome to Grown Folk Talk. Hello, I'm Patrice Frith Hayward, your host, and I am talking to some grown folks today about making peace with your past. Yes, making peace with your past. And I have some beautiful ladies here with me today who I have had the privilege of working with in the past. Yes. Right? How appropriate. During my time at the Women's Resource Center. Yes. So, Laurie Ceola is one of my guests and my friend who is here today. Welcome to you, lady.
Thank you for having me.
That was my pleasure. And also Lauren Trott, who is my friend.
Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you
really
for coming, Lauren.
It.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. And it's good to be here with you ladies, talking about some grown folk stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so we will be talking about making peace with your past. But first, ladies, tell us just a little bit about who you are. Like, why are you here to talk about this topic? What qualifies you, basically?
This is a topic that is close to my heart. I work with men and women, and I feel that it is so important for people to live lives that are full of peace.
Okay. What do you do, Lauren? What is your profession?
I'm a consulting therapist / counselor.
Okay. And I know that, but we wanted to tell the audience that. That's right. Okay, so welcome again, Lauren. Thanks so much. And Laurie?
Yes, so this topic is close to me because I believe that we all have past.
Absolutely.
And if we don't make peace with them, it's hard for us to move forward. We get stuck. And so in order for us to live a full life, we have to look to see how we can make peace with our past.
Right.
And I work as the executive director at the Center Against Abuse.
Right, that's right. And so that's where our paths crossed, all of us, working with women and also, Lauren, as you say, with men. So absolutely, making peace with our past. There are some people who would prefer to go through life just holding on to the past, wearing their past almost as badges of honor, as their excuse for not doing fill in the blanks or not getting past this or not being able to do that. And they actually will use their, sometimes, not everybody, I'm not saying everybody does, and I'm not downplaying anyone's trauma or past experiences, but some of them will use it to just carry them through life because people will say, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I hear, so we're here to talk about making peace with whatever it is, because our past will always be our past.
And people get familiar with things and it becomes a habit.
Oh my gosh.
The peace that we get gives us tranquility in
life.
So we can grow.
Peace that, 1 minute, Lauren. The peace that we get gives us tranquility. I love that.
It does.
Sorry, go ahead.
It does. And one of the other things that I do is working with children as a family therapist. And if you can get in there and make changes with the children, by the time they are older, they won't go through the things that they would go through if they didn't have help.
Right. And that's the key, isn't it? Asking for help. Recognizing that you need it first, and then asking for it and getting it. So you ladies shared, so you sent me some information, which by the way was very helpful, and you shared that peace is a choice that we can choose to make for ourselves, and it can be a very hard choice because it may feel like we are settling, letting the other person win, or giving in. So sometimes releasing the past or making peace with the past may look like, oh, if I do that, then they're going to think they won or they got over me. And I don't let anybody get over me. And then they do the whole thing. But the person has moved on. The other person has already moved on.
They could even be dead.
Could even be dead.
Could be dead.
Dead and gone. And we're still fighting with whatever happened in the past. So talk to us some more about that, because you also said peace is a freedom from disturbance or tranquility, which is what you said. It is calm or calmness. It is a stress-free state of security, and it is being content to be the person you are. Flaws and all.
Flaws and all.
Flaws and all.
Right.
Okay. All right. So just talk to us about that.
So one of the things that I want to start with is that there's no time frame for you to make peace with your past.
Okay.
It's dependent on everybody's readiness.
Not what other people think is your readiness.
Not what other people think.
Right.
And making peace with your past also doesn't mean that you're just getting over it.
Right.
You're just letting
because
it
we
go.
don't want that. We don't want that to be told, get over it.
Because when people say that to you, oh, just get over it, just move on. That's not making peace with your past.
No, it's not.
No.
It's
That's just burying it and
minimizing it.
Correct. And burying it.
So then it'll come back.
It will. And it will show up, and it might show up very ugly.
And at an inopportune time.
That's right.
And disrupt life.
That's
again.
Right. That's right.
Because it already happened, and
That's
it could come back and disrupt life again. And you said too, you don't want to minimize any trauma. We're not talking about minimizing trauma because people have been through some traumatic experiences and they are struggling, and it may have happened 30, 40, 50 years ago.
That's right.
And they may still be struggling. So we have to take a break. I'll take a break, and when I come back, we will get into that a little more about the ways, the steps that we can take to make peace with our past. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, you are watching Grown Folk Talk, and I have Lorene Ceola and Lauren Trotton here talking about making peace with our past. Don't go anywhere.
Grown Folk Talk will be back after these messages.
Are you looking for an event coordinator or filming crew for a live television broadcast? Search no more. Gino Crimson is at your service, specializing in international 3D graphics, event creative, and technical direction. We offer a product second to none. A combination of two well-known production companies, Gino Group and Crimson Multimedia, together bring more than 20 years of experience in production of local and international ad campaigns and television broadcast programming. Specializing in national sporting events, Gino Crimson is also known for the full production of the annual sports awards, Kappa Classics Live pay-per-view boxing events, the general and municipal elections, the T-Talk Show, Cut Match Classic, and much more. Providing the best of the island's skilled production crew, we organize an amazing network of camera operators, directors, vision mixers, on-camera hosts, sports anchors, and beauty consultants, all while using the latest in production equipment for a high-quality live television broadcast. Gino Crimson. Our vision is to make your request a reality, and we would be happy to be a part of your next event.
Welcome back to Grown Folk Talk. So we are talking kind of a serious situation or serious topic this evening. We are talking about making peace with your past, and that looks so different to so many people. And so I have Lorene Ceola here from the Center Against Abuse. I have Lauren Trott here who does work with the Center Against Abuse as well. And I know that in the things that the professions that I've been in and the people I've come in contact with, there are some people who have been traumatized as children by situations. Yes. And it could be, for instance, a case where someone in their family sexually assaulted them and or violated them in some way or the other. As children, they may have spoken up and nobody did anything about it. They may have been too afraid to speak up, because we know all of that happens as well. They speak up and somebody says, well, just be quiet, we don't talk about that. And then they still live in the house with the person, or somebody, or they don't speak up. And then they become adults and they're trying to decide whether they're having a relationship with this person or not. How do they wrap their heads around that? How do they make peace with that? How do they what's the steps? What's your thought?
So when that happens, basically you're silencing that person's voice.
Yes.
You're teaching that person
by saying, be quiet, we don't talk about that in this house.
That's correct.
Right.
You are teaching them that they don't matter.
And you're teaching them to lie.
You're teaching them to lie. You're teaching them that what happened to them was all right.
Yes. And it had no weight.
No weight to
it. It just happened.
But that individual may start acting out.
Okay.
Whether it's promiscuous behavior, whether it's what we call rebellious.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
and that comes from people not listening. They were violated. They were hurt by someone they loved and trusted.
Correct.
In the same house. It could be a family member. It could be somebody who lived in the house. And family member could be anybody.
To the family.
Right, exactly. Right.
Correct.
Yeah, and then they're told, okay, shush.
Yes, yes. And this person is allowed to roam free.
Right.
Steal around, individuals steal around even you.
Even the person, right.
You know, and so you are, not only your voice is silenced, your emotions are silenced.
Oh my, yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
You know, and that can lead to a lot of anger.
I would imagine it would.
A great deal of anger. That can lead to a very angry adult.
Yeah.
And so what?
Who then becomes an angry parent, an angry spouse, an angry employee.
That's right.
All of the anger goes everywhere.
Exactly.
That's
right.
And then sometimes, Patrice, we end up having generational stuff going on.
Yeah, we hear about that.
So the
and Lauren, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but sometimes the perpetrator is still in the house when the next generation comes along and then repeats that with the next generation.
And I've seen it.
Have you?
Yes.
I've seen it, and it's painful. Really,
My goodness.
Painful. Yeah.
And nobody is being an adult. Nobody is saying, not my child. You're not doing this to my child or my fill in the blank. And then when the person also doesn't feel empowered enough to speak up, they are expected to have a relationship, a loving and kind relationship with this perpetrator.
No one's holding the perpetrator accountable.
No.
And sometimes it's difficult to come into a therapeutic relationship because you don't know who you can trust.
Well, that violates every aspect of trust. When the person who has been entrusted to love you, care for you, and protect you from predators, when that person is the predator, you can't trust anybody. That just shatters all ideals of trust.
Yes.
And sometimes, not often, but sometimes the predator has themselves been a victim of this sort of stuff.
And so then people will say, so if they know what they went through, why are they doing it to somebody else?
Hurt people.
And sometimes too, people would think that's a cop-out. That's saying hurt people. Because sometimes I feel like that too. Hurt people. But if we give power to that phrase, hurt people, that's a punk out excuse. We give them let me say I was hurt. Yeah, let me say I was hurt. And then, okay, so I hurt them. Well, I know, but I was hurt too.
Yes.
But because when you become an adult, you recognize that something's wrong. Because when you're telling children, don't tell anybody you knew. This is between us. Know it's wrong.
That's right.
So then do something about it.
Or you threaten them.
Oh, the threats,
or
yes.
threaten their families.
Yes,
to harm
that's
their
right.
families.
And a young person doesn't know anything other than, oh my gosh, I can't say anything because I've been threatened.
And so us doing right is a choice and us doing wrong is a choice.
Us doing right is a choice and us doing wrong is a choice. Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And so when people are condoning that, and condoning could be just knowing it's happening and not saying anything, they are just as bad. Turn a blind eye, Lauren.
Yeah.
They're just as bad, just as guilty.
They are assisting the perpetrator in continuing the bad behavior.
That's right.
Exactly.
And perpetrators feel that, they get it. Okay, they ain't said anything.
You give them their power.
Yeah.
You give them their power
when
you allow the victim or the survivor to be silenced.
That's right. Yes. And a lot of people, what's the reason? For me, a lot of people do it because they say, you know what? I don't feel like all of that mess. I ain't got time for that. I don't want people to know what's going on in my house. I don't feel like going to court. I don't feel like. And all the while, that's the way Bermudian saying it. And all the while, you're damaging your child or your
family is damaged.
That's right.
And what happens is that you find that this is generational. So this is what they were taught.
That's right. Yes. And Granny said, and great Granny said. That's right. Yeah. That's just what he does.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's not that bad.
It's
You're
okay. Right. And I knew of a situation.
Sometime.
Had to happen sometime. Well, I know of a situation where a young lady told her mother that her boyfriend was raping her, and she said, "It's not like you were a virgin." Right. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk about some steps in making peace with our past.
Yes.
Not necessarily making peace with the perpetrator, but making peace with what actually happened. So we're going to come back and talk some more to Laurie Shield and Lauren Trott, who have some very interesting things to share about how we can then move on. We being we're collective in this. Okay? Please stay with us. You're watching Grown Folk Talk.
Grown Folk Talk will be back after these messages.
If you quit smoking, just 20 minutes later, your blood pressure goes down. 2 days, you've already decreased your risk of heart attack and your sense of taste and smell return. 2 weeks, walking is easier and breathing has improved. 5 years, you've reduced the risk of many cancers and saved around $30,000.
Pathways Bermuda has a 4-week program to help you quit smoking. Call 236-0823 or email info@pathwaysbermuda.bm.
Welcome back to Grown Folk Talk. So we have been talking about making peace with your past, and there are so many layers to that. And before we went to break, we talked about when people are silenced and when people condone it in the home, and then you how we get to make peace with that person. But then you said something else.
Right, correct. Because you talked about how somebody was sexually violated by someone's boyfriend or girlfriend.
Right.
And then the parent came and then said, oh, well, it's not like you were a virgin. This is the person that you told. This is the person that you expected to assist you with your hurt.
Yes.
And here they come and they hurt you again.
Yeah.
You know, so here you now have 2 individuals that you've been hurt by.
So you have to make peace with 2 people.
With 2 people.
Not just the perpetrator.
Not just the perpetrator, but
everybody who condoned it as well.
Exactly. Yes. Everybody that silenced you.
And that is why it is so hard for some people to release some pain, because they may have dealt with this person over here, but then it's 2 and 3. It might be grandpa, it might be nana, it might be auntie, it might be somebody, right, who'll get over things.
Yes.
So then the whole situation is not covered. And so then when you look, they are getting up in age and they're not being able to make peace with everybody, and they're getting older, but they're still holding on to it.
Right. And so they never received any help for the hurt that they were feeling from the perpetrator.
Yes.
Never received any help from the hurt that they were feeling from everybody else that hurt them, that tried to silence them.
And then, so how does that manifest itself?
So that it can manifest itself in when you get older. You know, and sometimes people may say, oh, well, you know, that person's got Alzheimer's, that person's got dementia. But, you know, you hear stories of individuals where they wake up every morning as an elderly person and they say how last night I was raped. Or last night I was in my room and somebody kept peeping in my window.
And that didn't happen. They're going back to their childhood.
They're going back to that incident.
Yes. Oh my!
And they relive it and they replay it.
Because it was never addressed. Exactly. They were never validated. No. Their trauma was never addressed, so they carry it. So then now their minds are in whatever condition and state they're in because of their dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever it is. And so to them now, they've gone back to their childhood, reliving this trauma.
And now they're getting their chance
to talk about it.
To bring their voice.
And when someone's integrity is threatened like that, and people don't believe it, they can develop symptoms that are characteristic of depression, anxiety, PTSD.
And what's PTSD?
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
And that,
oh
all those things can come up with an individual, and then people think they're weird or something.
Yes, right.
But they're not.
They have not healed.
They haven't healed.
They haven't been given the opportunity to heal.
Yes. And if it's a repeat incident, it's like pouring salt into a wound.
Right. And we know that some of these they're repeated year and year in and year out.
And what tends to happen is that if you were sexually violated, you tend to be sexually violated again.
Right. Yes.
You're a target.
You become a target. It's not that you put yourself out there to be a target.
Yeah.
But you
it's the strangest
it's the weirdest thing.
It's the most bizarre.
Predators seek you out.
Yes. Predators seek you out.
Especially if they know it has already happened. Yeah. So ladies, how do we make peace with, because we need to put some definition and some context around making peace.
So first thing you have to do is you have to acknowledge that there is a disturbance, that there's hurt.
In your life, in your soul, in your spirit, in your mind.
That's right.
Right.
That's the first thing. You have to acknowledge that.
And acknowledging it means telling somebody or just acknowledging it to yourself?
It could be to yourself.
Okay.
Because this doesn't necessarily make it real if I tell you.
Yes.
But if I tell myself, it's real as well.
Okay.
It is certainly real. Once you get honest with yourself about the hurt, that I'm this way because of this past hurt that I never dealt with.
Or that somebody didn't help me through.
Someone didn't help me through.
Okay.
And sometimes it's because it's been blocked. And now it's coming to light. Wait a minute, I remember this.
Right. And it may be something like seeing the person after so many years or something.
A scent.
Right.
Oh, a scent even.
Yes.
Even a scent. Any of your five, all of your senses.
Really?
Yes.
To trigger a memory.
Scent, a sight, something you hear that reminds you, things you see. If you were raped in a specific area repeatedly, and there was something in that room that you focused on while you were trying to disassociate from what was happening to you. You see that? You see a water glass that looks like that, and that was sitting on the table? It's a trigger. Yeah.
And so you have to acknowledge all of that.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously you said accept that that's what's going on. Define it.
Yes, you want to define it. You define exactly what that hurt is. So remember, we talked earlier about being sexually assaulted by someone's spouse, by your mom or your dad's spouse. Okay, and then your parents not acknowledging your hurt. So you have to define that it's not just that one person that hurt you.
Right. Okay.
It's this person that hurt
Okay. Okay.
You know, when it happened, it occurred when I was 14. It occurred when I was 21.
Okay.
Where it happened. Those things you define your whole story. Because those things may be holding you back. Well, I don't go on Reed Street because I was sexually assaulted on Reed Street.
Right. And then sometimes we'll judge people for things they don't do, not knowing that they don't do it because it's too painful for whatever reason.
Yes.
All right.
The when and the where.
Okay.
And
all right.
Patrice, you know, if someone has offended you and they die, you can meet with someone who works with these type of cases, and they can help you through forgiveness.
Okay. So let's just take a break, and we'll just get to the final steps of the whole making peace. So this is some real grown folk talk here, and I'm sure you ladies are helping somebody. I'm sure somebody's saying, yes, I know, I understand. So hopefully we can offer some more support. Please stay with us. We'll be back.
Grown Folk Talk will be back after these messages.
Thanks for coming back to join us here on Grown Folk Talk. So we're talking today with Laurie Shield and Lauren Trott about making peace with the past. And the conversation we've had so far has gone really deep about some traumatic things that have happened to people. And so many people can relate, unfortunately, as you all well know in your careers. And so we were talking before the break about steps to making peace with the past. And you shared, ladies, in order to start making peace with your past, you must first accept that you are not in a state of peace.
Correct.
Accept that you are not in a state of peace. And you said here, something is killing your buzz, stealing your joy, or not allowing you to be fully you. Because that's what we want in life, to be fully present, be fully ourselves. And you also said the next step is to define the specifics of the issues of the peace stealing, of the issues of your peace stealing. Who, what, how, and where. And you deliberately left off why.
Yes, we deliberately
why did you leave off why?
Left off the why, because the why can keep you stuck.
Why
did this happen to me? Why did they choose me? You know, why no one helped me?
And those may be answers you never get, so then you can't move past that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
I never thought of it like that.
Yes. So you have to sometimes let go of the
why. Because and even if you get the why, is the why going to make sense?
May never make sense.
The why may never make sense. That's some good stuff,
and the
ladies.
person could be dead as well.
Right. So then you're not going to know why. Right.
Exactly.
And also I believe that we have to accept the apology that we'll never get.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's part of making peace with our past.
For sure.
Accept the apology
For
we
sure.
won't get. Again, it's not dismissing anything.
Yeah.
All right, so you can continue. Sorry, Lauren.
No,
Yeah.
just exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. So you can continue, either one of you.
And so you then consider, like, how has all of this disrupted your life? You know, and then you determine that you will release this person.
You make a conscious decision.
You make a conscious decision that you will not give this individual any more power in your life.
No more power in your life. And it doesn't mean you're kissing them and saying, it's okay. I know you did whatever. And you maybe that's all you need to. It doesn't mean that.
Correct.
One of the things that I always say is nobody deserves to have the right to live rent-free in your brain.
Oh, Lauren.
No.
Oh, living rent-free in my brain.
That's
right. And being a bad tenant.
And being a bad tenant. How does that work?
Mashing up your
house. Because that's loud music and
Yes.
everything.
Mashing up all your furniture.
Right.
Because they're living in a house that they're renting.
Yeah,
that
but
you
they're not paying
furnished.
the
You
rent.
furnished it.
It's a
and they're
furnished
mashing
it.
everything.
Oh, I love that. And no one has the right.
Yeah.
So then you determine that you'll release the person or issues.
Yeah.
You make that. You may have to. You may write it down. You may speak it. You may whatever. But today, this is what I'm doing.
Yes.
I'm letting this go.
Yes. Yes. And
That's
it might
freeing.
not be a one-time thing.
Okay.
This could be a process. Okay? Because sometimes
I get it.
it's
Of
like,
course it would be. Yeah,
you
that
know,
makes sense.
okay, I'm going to release this person.
Yes.
We're not going to say like magic
That's
and it's going
right.
to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to release
That's
the
right.
individual.
Okay.
We're not going to release the hurt one time. For some, it may.
Yes.
And then for others, it is a longer process.
And
But
if we
there's-
release them, they might not release us. And every time you look, they're coming back trying to
Get
edge
back
the
in.
way in.
Get back in.
Yeah.
And we have the power to say, no, you can't come in.
Yes, we do.
Into our lives, into our minds, into our thoughts, into all of that.
Right.
Okay. And there's some healing that happens within ourselves first before we get to this.
Correct. Correct.
And that doesn't mean what did I do wrong or what did I do to encourage the situation. Doesn't mean that.
Just to
it's
hurt
just
me,
coming
how
to
do it?
right. That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. What's the next step? Because this is good
so then,
stuff.
With that, you're making amends. Making amends doesn't necessarily that you go to the person and you have a conversation. Doesn't necessarily mean that.
Right.